I'm going to put these cans away, and I hope they don't spill all over my table. Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Bodio Belmont, and with me I have Kaylie Horowitz.
Hello.
And Andy Gibby Gibson.
Bo, the cans are spilling all over your table. The cans!
They're revolting. Question. I'm going to do one of those, because, we usually shoot the shit, whatever, at the top of these.
You're going to ask a question, you're going to do one of those?
Yeah, I'm going to ask a question, I'm going to do one of those.
Hit us, Barbara Walters.
It's one of those icebreaker questions that I was introduced to a while ago. Okay. I might have asked you guys this already, I don't remember.
Time to see if we give the same answer.
Yeah. So you're in a situation, and let's say it has to be like a tech billionaire who who's like you don't trust, but will be honest with you, a Bill Gates or a Tim Cook type, okay. Right? Okay. They come up to you and they say, "Hey, I have this AI model. I will give you $10,000 to use this AI model, and it will show you the meanest thing any one person has ever said to you, the face and what they said to you." Would you take that cash?
You know what? Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and because I was gonna say, it's collecting the information on what somebody else has said about me. It's not my nonsense. It's free 10K. I just have to have tough skin, and you know what? I think I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Wait, so with the idea of this question, it will show me the meanest thing that somebody has said about me. Is this a situation where it could be without my knowledge of it?
Yeah, just stone cold, the meanest thing, any one person will show you that person's face and what they said.
Could have been to your face, could be behind your back.
Yeah.
10,000 is 10,000, but that 10,000 is going to the therapy bills afterwards.
That's what I'm saying.
Probably no.
No, really?
I'm gonna be honest, Bo. I don't have thick skin. I put on a brave face, but inside of me is just marshmallows.
Oh no.
This is what that theater training was for. It's just getting rejected over and over and over again until the point that it's just a numbing sensation as each no email crashes over you.
Right. My mental...
You don't know how to feel anymore.
And I smash that button every time, right? Easy, no problem.
Smash.
My mental is, okay, I'm like going through it. What's the worst that could happen, right? If it's like my mom's face pops up, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's my brother's face shows up, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. If it's my face that shows up, I'm like, I'm invincible. Like, you fuckers can't hurt me anymore.
I know that guy, and he's a bitch.
Yeah, and he's an asshole.
I'd tell him to his face.
The funniest scenario is someone who I can't even like conceive of interacting with. Like you smash the button and it's Jason Statham. It's like, when were we even in the same room? How did this happen?
You were just ahead of him in line at Starbucks or something, and he was just like, "Oh, this bloke's taking a long time."
And then he said something extremely offensive, and I'm like, "Wow, Jason Statham."
A fleeting moment of interaction that results in the most scathing, horrible thing ever to have been said about your person is a wild way to walk away from that situation.
But then you have the other where it's like exactly what Gibby says, like, I don't like that guy very much. And that's the meanest thing anybody's ever said to you.
Right.
Oh.
I don't know. The funny thing that makes me think of is that, like, we say the meanest things to the people that we have the least familiarity with and the least like time spent with.
Yeah.
My proof of this theory is if somebody does something really stupid on the highway, I will curse their whole family line.
True.
And I live in Maryland. We have the worst drivers in the entire country. So like it's basically turning into just like, oh, you cut me off while going 30 miles over the speed limit. Get ready for the haters ball entry from me.
2 points of contention. One, you're going to have to pry that title from my cold, dead Floridian hands of worst drivers in the country. Two, I counter that with I feel like Yes, there's the extreme hate and vitriol to nobody that you know in just a quick moment of tension, like driving. But I thought you were going to say, you say the meanest things to the people you know the most, because all of my friends, my spouse.
Jesus.
Not like I mean it, but it's that like I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm just going to say things, but I'm hoping that I'm saying it in such a way that like you can clearly tell I do not mean the words that I'm saying, and yet I speak them.
Kaylie, blink twice if you need us to save you. She is not blinking. I think we're good. Oh, her eyes crossed. I don't know what that means. Hit the button. It means
we gotta go to Buffalo right now.
And like, there's definitely a difference of feeling of like, I'm actually angry in a situation and just like throwing out more than just the swears. Let's pull out the clever insults too.
Yeah.
But I feel like I just say ruder shit in front of people that I know when I'm just like guard down, loosey-goosey, because then I will catch myself and go, no, that was mean. I'm so sorry.
we also have like that level of trust that we've built up that like we can be more critical with people that we truly love, like, and it's not as likely to end in a like, well, fuck that guy, I'm not talking to him anymore.
Yeah, y'all know me. I do a lot of stream of consciousness, like when we're just like chilling. I think if Mark Ruffalo pressed the button, my face would come up.
the handsome face of Bodio pops up and just is like, this guy can't fucking act for shit. He should have given up his dreams.
I was like I was talking with friends and we were talking about Mickey 17, which apparently didn't do very well.
It was great though. I loved that
movie.
Yeah,
I don't think it did well with critics, but
no.
Conversely, like just through conversations, everybody who I know who's seen it was like, yeah, it was cool. And sidebar, anything Robert Pattinson does like these days, I'm like, sign me up, baby. I'm gonna go watch it.
Him and Daniel Radcliffe is that like, this is gonna be unhinged. I'm here for sign
it.
Me up.
But I was looking at the cast list and I was like, oh, Mark Ruffalo's in this. Ew. But it was like, damn, how do you have like Mark Ruffalo? I was like, he's just a guy. Mark Ruffalo, what did I say? I said Mark Ruffalo is like adding Paul Rudd, except he's not funny.
Oh.
To your movie. Yeah, I know. And I caught myself saying that. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, also when we're so far removed from celebrities, like,
yeah, he's a millionaire. I'm sure he doesn't care.
They're in such a lofty position that you kind of dehumanize them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And like, far be it from me to act like I'm above this, but at the same time, Mark Ruffalo's just a guy. He's not hurting anybody.
He's just a dude.
But we're just like, fuck you, you're a bad Hulk. You're not even as good as Eric Bana. And it's like, whoa, where'd that come from?
He isn't as good as Eric Bana. He just showed up for Avengers, man.
He was just like, hey, you guys need extras? No, we need a Hulk.
We need a hero. You're the only guy who fits in the shorts, bud. Here.
Everybody else was busy.
See, that's the thing. Mark Ruffalo can actually just do that.
Yeah.
That was why they cast him.
Call me a corporate overlord because I'm going to ask to circle back here.
Okay.
Because somehow, some way, the meanest thing that could pop up in this immoral AI machine is if somebody came up and you just heard them go, ew. It's so simple, but like hearing anybody say ew about you cut straight to the bone.
I think if it was somebody who I was like, who I knew, who I was like, it's like somebody I had a crush on, like as an adult. Like a person I had a crush on as an adult was like, ew, him? I think that's the only situation where I'm like, dang, that hurts.
I'm walking into the ocean and I'm starting a new life, like on the Caribbean island where nobody knows me.
Emotional damage.
This is going to be the most pathetic thing that I've ever said on here. But when I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Karlach said that about me, I had to turn the game off. I'm kidding. I didn't turn the game off, but I did want to.
I forgot you fucked up that. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucked it up. It's okay. I've started a new playthrough and it's going very well.
Don't fuck it up.
When the hot big lady says, ew, no, we're just friends. And my poor orc barbarian is just like, what the fuck did I do?
How can I make it obvious? How can I make it clear? Ah!
Oh man. So it's not spooky season,
Rip.
That's a shame.
but we decided to get spooky anyway.
Be spooky regardless.
Regardless, damn it. Kaylie's wearing fingerless gloves or some shit right now.
Hell yeah.
we're getting hot topicy. It's it's Castlevania Nocturne season 2. So Castlevania Nocturne season 2 came out a few months ago. We found out about it on accident.
They didn't do much to promote it, I'll tell you that.
They
They
really
really
didn't. I think after the first season dropped, everyone was like, okay, yeah, so there's going to be a season 2. And I think they maybe said something about early 2025. But like, I think the last time I heard about it was shortly after season 1. It's been a while.
And it's been 2 years since Nocturne came out, which is too long. It's too long.
It's too long for that gap to exist and there only be 8 episodes in that time.
On some Venture Brothers shit, for real. This one overall, we can go ahead and say, got a better reception than the first season. I think because they put a nice button on the end of it. The last season was very cliffhangery.
Yep.
Yeah.
The last scene of the last season, or the first season of Nocturne, was indicative of the case for Castlevania Symphony of the Night, with Alucard looking pretty and his hair blowing in the wind, and me, Turbo Nerd, was like, that's cool. And that was the coolest thing about season 1. Season 2, on the other hand, tells a more concise story because it has all the setup, and all they had to do was slam dunk it, which I think we have 3 different opinions on whether or not the alley-oop went in.
We have a slam dunk,
Yep.
a slam,
Yep.
and a dunk.
That was actually pretty good. Very timely for March Madness.
Yeah, shout out to March
Don't
Madness.
remind me.
Shout outs to Auburn.
Final 4 and for one.
Do we want to give any synopsis for the season?
Yeah, French kid saves the world with Kung Fu.
Yep, there it is.
That's a synopsis.
Good night,
You're
everybody.
here. He's not French. He's from Boston. What are you talking about?
He's lived in France like his entire life. He's French.
He's just an abroad student with an extension on his visa.
I don't care if British voice actors refuse to do accents. Everybody in the show is French. Sans the ones. Everyone in the show
is French.
is French. Sans the ones who explicitly say, I am not from here. Which is the vampires, basically. Some of them.
And the monk, right? He's Spanish, isn't he?
Which one? The sexy one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think I think he's from Spain. He's definitely Spanish Inquisition coded.
Right, it's the like Inquisition coded character.
Hey, guess what? He's French.
Oh.
I actually have one little thing that leads into my first complaint, and now you know who
First complaint.
doesn't like the show amongst the 3 of us.
Gibby's the dunk.
No, I'm the slam. I'm slamming this show. So the first season ended with Eternal Night beginning. That the vampire messiah had ascended and had blotted out the sun with an eclipse that she controls with magic. Episode 1, after a flashback, opens up with them saying, "Oh, the sun's out." That's crazy. Because it turns out she only had one of the evil magical MacGuffins to be able to control the sun. She basically burned through her oil like my fucking Kia Soul burns through oil. And yes, that is something that's happening in my real life right now. Now you know my trauma. Anyways, focusing on the show, it's a race against time for Alucard and his plucky sidekicks, which is kind of what Richter really is during this season, to find the other two MacGuffins, one being the heart of the goddess, the other being the soul of the goddess. That's my first major complaint about this. Does anybody have any counter arguments to that?
Like an issue with you don't actually get to control the sun, or
Gibby's
the fetch questing.
nerd mad.
my complaint is that we set up a big problem, and the big problem went away because the writers said, actually, you need 2 more key cards to get to the next level.
I don't know why they reneged on that.
Especially when you have like such an interesting concept of, oh yeah, the sun has been turned off, and now the vampires can run free through all of France. Yeah. What are you gonna do, bud?
I think it's because I'm jumping the gun. This is gonna be less structured than our conversations usually are, which is fine sometimes. I think it's because the character Elizabeth doesn't matter.
Yep.
Am I watching this? Your main villain is Drolta. It was always that way in season 1 of Nocturne. It's like the one instigating everything was Drolta. The one setting everything up was Drolta. And they also go into Drolta's origin story, how she was the priestess for this Egyptian cleric. Or Egyptian cleric? Egyptian
goddess.
Goddess.
She's the cleric.
Sorry, she's the
Sekhmet.
cleric. Apologies.
You hear Sekhmet many times.
Yeah, Sekhmet. And her whole goal for the last 600 years is to revive her goddess, and Elizabeth is just a tool for Drolta to use. So it's one of those things. Elizabeth is there to be big, and be mean, and no other reason, right? She has her internal night. She has her win condition, and then they actually say, well, she's not actually the threat, so roll it back. And then she gets her win condition again because Drolta gets the win condition, and it's just an entire episode of her getting her shit kicked in. By the Belmonts, which awesome looking. Oh, very much so. This lady was, why didn't we do this last time? Even Alucard's not around. We're dealing with this without Alucard.
Everyone just had to get pissed off enough and dig deep enough into themselves, which apparently didn't take all that long. But no. we needed, everyone was just still a little too chicken shit last time. This time we're ready for some vampire ass kicking.
Right.
No, whining and teeth pulling required. We had to pull Maria off the brink of insanity a little bit, but
How did you all feel about the power scaling? As in what the characters were capable of?
I think this is where I start getting into my I like it, but I have questions, not full on complaints, but maybe I'm missing something as somebody having not played the games or is super, super into Castlevania. This season definitely started feeling like we're treading a little too close to OP-ness. Let me rephrase that.
It was like watching Dragon Ball.
Let me rephrase that.
Just hit me. It just hit me. Yeah.
We flew a little too close to the OP sun.
Yeah.
And I think that's to kind of Gibby's point of the why are we back in the daylight? I think it's that, oh, wait, shit. Pull it back just a little bit. It's still a scary threat. It can and will happen again, but it's not unlimited power kind of thing.
Yeah.
But when you suddenly start contesting against godhood and what that is capable of, then suddenly you need to max the fuck out of everyone else if you're gonna go down the, well, we have to beat the shit out of them in order to win option, or you've got to figure out a clever way to talk them down to make them concede rather than using all the godhood powers against mere mortals, vampires even too. Some of them are the way that even just the main cohort, Alucard, sure, but even just Richter and Annette just cleaving their way through some of these vampires where it's like we spent
like it was nothing.
so long in the first season of Castlevania of just like, I mean, yeah, some vampires are stronger than others, but like they're still a threat. They're still like soulless heathens of the undead. They're supernaturally strong and fast and powerful. That like this one started just going, nah, they're butter.
It was a week and a half ago.
Like
in the canon of the show. Yeah.
Within a 10-day, Richter gets these magical powers like last Wednesday, and all of a sudden, like, he's going Super Saiyan 2. Like, I'm glad that you brought up Dragon Ball Z because it's a good comparison, because apparently, by the logic of the show, if you scream loud enough, you will advance in your skills. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Like, I know we're getting jumpy and all that, but I'm gonna say something about like the final fights.
Yeah.
It just looks like a bunch of flailing around to me, and everybody pulling out their ultimate that apparently they've been charging for a while. And I'm just like, what happened to these being, you know, normal humans with some exceptional skills? Like,
yeah.
I don't always want to be like, the original show did it better. But it's a situation of just like, oh, you can do that now? Oh, you can survive the like incredible amounts of traumatic brain injuries you've just suffered? So what? Who cares? It's all right. As long as we get Marvel up in here of just leveling cities and blasting our hyper beams. So what? Who cares?
It definitely has playing a hero shooter and everybody pressing the ultimate button at the same time, everybody pressing Q at the same time vibes. I think my thing was, because it's always, Castlevania's always been magical, right? Like Sypha, especially as the series went further, Sypha got wilder and wilder what she was able to do. But it was always very assigned, right? Like Richter was the weapons guy, Sypha was the magic guy, and then Alucard was the in-between. Right, with Alucard being kind of obviously the most powerful between the three of them, but all of them having their like expertise. With this, everybody is magical.
Yeah.
So everybody has like after effects, and they're shooting fireballs and bringing up ice, and like, haha, they get punched through buildings, and then Old Man Juice just gets up and then like does the devil horns and shoots lightning into the dragon's breath. And again, it's fucking cool looking, but it's a lot of visual noise that takes away from the admittingly wonderful animation work and choreography.
Oh, for sure.
But I also felt like this is all blending together in flashing lights.
The more fun fights, honestly, to watch were the ones like really between like the vampires, like when Ulrox would get involved, or even like Annette and her just kind of battling the alligator creature kind of stuff. Like or like when we get a chance to focus on the individual character versus whatever their opponent is in an episode. Like, I think the better fights are so many of the others leading up before the final fight, because it just becomes so much noise. It becomes everybody's magical girl powers go on top of one another that we just start losing, like, why? Yeah, she's got two parts of a goddess's soul, but like, what the hell? Why isn't she like down, disintegrating in any capacity right now?
I had the opposite opinion when again, this is what kind of leads to my Erzsébet isn't a character, she's just exists. I was really frustrated again by Erzsébet, who again, her getting her powers in season 1 is completely the main cast fault. When vampires start coming from all over the world and they're telling you they have a messiah, and they're all coming to your hometown and telling you, hey, we have our own god and they're going to ascend and bring eternal night, you fucking believe them and you go deal with it. This is your fault, number one. But number two is, she shows up, she becomes a god, she then says, sorry, used all my god juice, gets more god juice, comes back, and she just gets bodied. She just gets rocked. I'm like, if she's ascended or even partially ascended, why isn't she Thanos snapping? Like, I fully expected, at the very least, Juice to die. I expected some
Right.
character death to happen to elevate the stakes and
Yeah.
change the strategy. I didn't think it was just be like, we're just gonna punch her really hard with a dragon, you know?
But why not?
True.
I also just realized we got 2 sentences in. Do we want to summarize the season in any further capacity?
No, because
okay.
I think that goes into something else. There's not a lot to say.
Sure. No, like there's 2. We realize 3, but we start thinking it's 2 parts of a soul. Then Annette realizes, hey, based on like the lineage and my understanding of the spirit world, there's a 3rd thing. I have to go get the soul that's the secret 3rd soul of Sekhmet. Otherwise, it's just them running away from vampires.
Yeah, and even with that, I don't think there's much of a narrative here as much as there are character I hate comparing media to D&D campaigns.
Yeah.
Because I think it overblows the importance of D&D campaigns. But this very much reads like a D&D table where it's like, hey, the narrative is just for you guys to exist in and justify where you're going. We're looking at 5 or 6 character moments.
I like what you said, but I think you're also giving it too much credit.
Uh-oh.
How did Richter grow and change over this season?
He's not one of the characters who experiences a moment. He kind of does.
He kind of does. Like, I think one of his bigger ones is with, like, the first time we meet Just, when he is able to connect into the speaker, like, magic. And I think, like, that overall, like, looking at this is, like, I'm looking at this as this is a season that was, we had a hiatus in the middle of it. Because it's the same story. That was, like, sort of the first turning point for him. And I think it is in the conversation that he kind of begins and then continues with Annette while they are traveling to Paris. The realization that, like, there is so much more than just the guilt that you harbor about something that may or may not have been your fault. Like, I think his growth comes much more subtly through the relationship that he has with Annette rather than any big proving himself heroic moment. Because once he realizes his feelings for her and what he believes, like, and is willing to do to protect her, I think we see the change. We just don't get to see the transformation. We just see that now here is somebody ready to, like, do what everyone around him has been willing to prior, which is sacrifice and or protect, because that's what I can just do that because I care about this person so much. Of course, without a second thought, I'm ready for that.
100% agree, no notes.
Yeah, I appreciate your perspective on it because I think that clarifies it better than I got from the show, if I'm being honest.
Versus, I think what ends up kind of overshadowing in season 2, who's having a transformational character arc, fucking Maria.
Maria's going
takes
through
the
it.
Cake. She's going through it. What are you doing? Staring into the abyss.
Killing my dad. It's like, whoa.
That was one of the few, like, character journeys that I really liked for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they dipped into that trauma, that darkness within her, and we got to see that explored with her discovering these new powers. And I was a fan of the fact that, hey, I'm going to go kill my dad. No, Maria, you'll give into the darkness. Too bad, bitch. I got a Pokemon now. I appreciate that they actually did that because it's so much more interesting than just going, you're right, there's good in me. I will not kill my father who has supplied the vampires with all of the monsters that are tearing into the French people. No, I like that they were like, fuck it, kill this dude.
I'm bringing Dialga to the church and you can't stop me.
Dialga, no. God dang. No, I mostly agree. I have too many morality plays in my brain, man. I think I'm always affected when someone does the objectively wrong thing and no consequences come of it. I don't hate the choice. It's wild that the choice was I'm going to go murder my dad in cold blood and that will make me a better person after.
Right.
I don't think it's so much like a better person. I think it's like I have become more powerful and I'm not considering whether this is going to make me a better person, but it feels like the right thing to do right now. Like we see that recoil in the next episode where Juiced and her mother are talking to her about it. And that's when she's like, I got to find balance between the lighter and darker sides of me.
And again, I think that's where I was also like, oh, so they're going to kill Juiced here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's like a terrible sin has been committed. Someone needs to be punished for it. To which Castlevania says, nope. That guy sucked. He was supposed to die.
It does kind of intrigue me that
here's Magic Old Man. Sorry.
it intrigues me that they have some parallels going on with her and the revolutionaries. Like they do dip into French history a little bit more, where we get to see King Louis XVI get his head lopped off. We see the forces being led by Maximilien Robespierre, and you see the darkness kind of in the final images of Maria, with it being like, okay, we had this victorious moment. Shit's about to get real dark, everybody. Kaylie, you're giggling.
I'm just dying because I keep forgetting Robespierre's name, and I keep going Rochambeau.
Maximilien Rococo.
Well, I was watching I guess it's like 2 episodes before the finale. Like, they've made it to Paris. Yeah. And of course, we have to do a fun vampires interjected with the French Revolution plotline.
I hate everything in France is always about the revolution. It's always the fucking revolution every time.
There's the scene of them like in the tavern, the secret meeting of, planning for Les Mis, the barricade day, basically. And so I'm watching this, like Ian knows that I'm watching Nocturne, comes in during like the top of that scene as Robespierre's talking about, like, to do this for the greater
Liberty
good,
and blah, blah, blah.
And he goes, is that Robespierre? I'm like, how do you know that off the dome?
Because I heard guillotine.
Yes!
That's all the French talk about. That's all they talk about.
And then Alucard goes, Monsieur Robespierre, it's good to see you.
I'm sitting there wholly watching the scene. There's like somebody's gonna start singing Red and Black, and I'm gonna break my TV.
Right. I was waiting for the Les Mis reference, and it didn't come. Ian did make a good point. As much as it's frustrating with the like French Revolution, I feel like we just keep rehashing this over and over and over again. There is the idea that Ian pointed, and I will give them credit for this. I won't steal it, at least, but I'll put it to the group. That there's always so much about like vampires and vampire lore that is transformation, and that's the goal of the revolution, is a transformation. But it's always the question of what cost. You will gain this, but at what loss to yourself? Like those kind of, and they kind of talk about, Alucard at least talks about it as well. Of so often they start peacefully and end in bloodshed, or starts in bloodshed and just ends in more bloodshed. The fuck are we doing at this point?
I also think that's interesting because, again, one of the things, as I watched this, I felt it too, but I remember speaking with Gibby about it earlier. It's kind of the narrative inconsistencies with not only between Nocturne Season 1 and Season 2, but between Nocturne and Castlevania base, is the idea of what vampires are. I think we misinterpreted Gibby, because one of the things they do, night creatures, and the entire lore behind night creatures, what night creatures are, how they're summoned. You have a dead body, some dude starts casting spells, he slams a new soul into that body and it becomes a monster. In this, Drolta, our main villain, straight up dies at the end of the last season. They throw her in a machine, they make her a night creature, and she gets her soul back. I remember thinking in that moment, that's not how vampires work. Vampires are undead. They don't have those. Catching myself now in this moment, they do. Gibby, remember the whole point of Season 3 of Castlevania is them pulling Vlad Tepes's soul out of hell.
That is true.
With his wife.
Yeah.
Slap him in a homunculus, you know.
Here's my problem with it is, like, you have explained that there are some more consistencies with the lore than I originally gave it credit for. My complaint is the Last Jedi complaint.
Ooh.
Remember when they jumped to hyperspace using a suicide bomb ship to split through somebody else's ship?
Yeah.
Very cool moment. Just like Drolta coming back after, a cycle in the dryer. Why haven't you been doing that the whole time? If that's
the entire
the case?
time.
Like, you could have just been like, dang it. Our cool vampires, our leaders have all been axed. Throw them in the machine. Just do the thing. Why lose? Why ever lose? Just get them right back. So what? Who cares?
Well, I guess let's say, do we have the body recovered? Can we use that? There, I guess also the question of this might be doing work for the writers when they didn't plan on it, but, is the machine a machination of hell in the Industrial Revolution? Because before we just had to pull a random soul out of hell and throw it into a body, and now with the infernal capitalistic advances we could just put the same soul back in its body. I don't know.
I am bothered that we killed the abbot in the way we did, because they never addressed how or why he came to be summoning night creatures. All he says
get
was,
into that.
Yeah, we never address it. Who taught you black magic? Where did you get this book? How did you build this machine under your church? Why don't people know about it?
You just see the abbot in a back alley in Paris, handing over some francs, and he's getting a paper bag of just magic shit do not open.
Yeah.
We came off of 2 seasons of Hector being the Bamf of Forge Masters.
Yeah.
And then we get this dropped on us of oh yeah, he's working with the vampires, and we've learned that this thing exists under the church, but we can't destroy it, so maybe we could send it back to hell. And we still don't even know what's happened. We just know that there's no more Forge Master now, but that's never resolved. We never see anything with Tara, who got turned into a vampire, by the way. We just didn't mention she's just kind of lurking around.
Tara's
this
Maria's
season.
mom. Yeah.
The night creatures mourn their creator's loss, and Tara goes off to keep her daughter from going to the dark side. But we never get a resolution on the machine.
Yeah, and to Kaylie's point, Hector and Isaac were so important. They were the main drivers of character development in the last show.
Yeah.
Forge Masters were supposed to be a big deal. And this guy's a Forge Master, and he's a Christian Forge Master, which is unacceptable, which totally crosses the line. And he shows up, his ex gets turned into a vampire, he gets killed by his kid, and that's it.
Also, you would think that Erzabet, as the leader of all of these night creatures now, would be dang, that kind of sucks that my means of putting together an army has been significantly limited.
She doesn't care.
Right.
Because she's not a character.
Her main thing is just, I don't like that singing that they're doing.
I liked that moment at least, again, not overarchingly narratively. I'm going, what happened to this entire thread? This isn't even one thread. This is a fucking rope.
Yeah.
You have so many threads here that haven't been resolved. But I don't mind her reaction to it, because this season 2 is definitely, if you didn't notice prior that Drolta was the one pulling the strings, here is much more apparent that she really is just a vessel. And we get a little bit more into her, not full on background, but at least a little more about her psyche is so much more revolving around, I want power, I want to rule, everyone is beneath me.
Yeah.
And Drolta loves me. Drolta is willing to give me anything that I need and want to do that, not completely seeing that she's the one that's being played, sort of, that it is no, that is a good reaction, because clearly that is showing she's not thinking like a leader of the vampires, the vampiric undead world. It's so self-serving. It's so, I don't care. Ew. Shut up.
I like your perspective on that. My criticism is that one-dimensional villains are not interesting.
Oh, sure.
Because she's not supposed to be. Drolta's supposed to be interesting.
But I don't think Drolta's that interesting either.
Gibby hates black women.
I'm learning and I'm listening. And I'm committed to being better. And I won't be criticizing BDSM demons with pink afros anymore.
Okay, but hear me out.
It's been a difficult period of learning for me, and really, for all of us. And I'm just glad that we could have this conversation. And if you'd like to keep having this conversation, you can use my discount code for Squarespace to create your own website to have a conversation on that platform.
Hashtag not an ad.
I am sorry that you felt bad because of the bad things that I said.
This bit is done. This bit is over.
Not that I'm sorry you felt. Oh, no.
But seriously, there's a lot of intentional representation in Castlevania in general as a series, but definitely this season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inserting bodies that typically wouldn't be in those roles. And again, I think I said this in our episode about season 1. It's gonna always feel weird until it doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
I also think it's okay because it's France, and like France in the 1700s is a lot more diverse. I'm being completely serious. Like,
fair enough.
Like French, like history, like you see a bunch of these whiny boys online just being like, ugh, they put black people in the thing that I like to watch. And it's like, have you read about French history? They've been around, friend.
They were there. Sorry. Drolta specifically is the main villain out here girl bossing and shit. I think it's cool to see a character be presented that way, right? With she's black, she's purple, she's got a big old fro, she's just out here like rocking shit.
Yeah.
But I've always had the reservation of having, my old style brain has always had the reservation of having women be in those positions of power, because I don't like seeing Richter go JoJo's Bizarre Adventure all up on her dome piece, man. Just like punching the shit out of her. And that was really my only reservation about it, outside of acknowledging, oh, they're intentionally putting women in these spaces so that they can own these spaces. Season 2 cold opens with Alucard killing a bunch of women. But again, when you put yourself into the space, it's like, no, this makes sense for what it is, because all of Sekhmet's priestesses are as such. They're all women. So even if they're vampires, they're still going to be women. Those women are going to be soldiers. And if Alucard's running up in there, he's going to have to fight a bunch of strong ladies.
And you hear him say at the end of that cold open fight, he's like, I didn't want to have to do this, but fuck.
Yeah. And I didn't interpret that as, I don't want to kill a bunch of women. I interpreted that as, I don't want to have to fight you assholes because I know how this is going to end.
I don't want to have to fight you over this. I don't want to have to kill you, but like,
get out of my way.
Get out of my way. They've become corrupted by this idea. Like, we go back and forth, progressing through time kind of thing over that course of 600 years. But Drolta and these other women are priestesses and worshippers of Sekhmet, who is the goddess of war and healing. Very important, duality.
I kind of forget about that, huh?
Yeah. But Drolta, in her grief, keeps going, what did you want me to do? You must have had a purpose for me to do something. What is that? And kind of twists it and takes it to this level of, oh, you wanted me to, like, because
kill the non-believers and bring you back.
Kill the non-believers, but also, like, the temple was attacked and ravaged by kind of these brutish men, barbarian sort of characters. Like, men came in and fucked up all the women's shit. Surprise, surprise.
They're also vampires too.
Right. Well, and so that she ends up very, I think, nice poetic moment of using the statue of Sekhmet with her sword drawn to kill the vampire and drink his blood and transform herself. She then spends, the next 600-700 years on this quest to bring back Sekhmet, but continuously under this guise of, this is what you wanted from me. You wanted me to do this. You wanted me to do this to the world. You wanted me to raise these followers in this way. This is what you wanted. And then to have it all come back to this point of confronting this other piece of Sekhmet's soul, borrowing Annette's body as a vessel, which I did really love that. Like, I really liked in some ways that here is this young escaped, like, from enslavement girl that is questioning so much about her lineage and everything else, and knowing and not knowing so many things, that it's this, like, I don't know. I think of the phrase repeated. It's like that remember Black communities, and like just kind of the language that I see a lot repeated is like, we were taken from a land where we were kings and queens in this continent before taken away to parts unknown, and seeing Annette as the representation of that side of Sekhmet versus Drolta, like that confrontation, I thought was really well done in that sense. Like that was a nice, oh, this was deliberate, and it's juicy to see these two sides conflicting with each other.
Yeah. There's a lot to Annette, man. There's a lot of cross-pollination with like her cultural influences. Primarily it's Cajun, I'll generalize, West African and Egyptian for the sake of Sekhmet and everything. Cajun, especially, like, so Annette's whole character moment is, like Kaylie said, she can see spirits, and she's seeing the spirits of the past trying to tell her what to do next and where to go and how to progress. A lot of the initial guys that she sees are very like Cajun coded.
Papa Legba.
Yeah, Papa Legba and all that stuff. Bro, in the middle of that, the Orisha, that's my people, bro.
Yay!
That's Nigerian mythology. I popped off. I got so excited.
Is it Cajun or Creole in this case?
Probably Creole.
They do say Creole. Like,
Creole.
or like speaks in Creole as the subtitle for a lot of Edwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we're accurate.
Creole.
Sorry, correction, Creole, not whatever. Nigerians are up in there, and that's all I care about.
That's the important part.
That's the important part. Dude, when the Nigerian god comes in, it's like, here's a shield, little lady. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, dude.
I was just
Let's
like,
go!
Bo is jacked enough to be able to like cosplay this dude.
Honestly, great cosplay consideration.
But again, it's one of those things where they say representation is important. It feels good to see all that in there, right? It also brings a level of originality, specifically to Annette. They code switched her, right? She's always been Richter's partner, but obviously she hasn't always been an African woman. Which who the fuck cares? But it's cool. Again, I said this during I said this in this episode already, and I said it in our synopsis of season 1. It's gonna be weird until it's not. It just is. But it is cool to expand the lexicon just to all these things. It also raises, if I may divert just a smidge, it also raises, comic books do this all the time, where it's like, oh, all the gods exist, but Big God is still the number one god. I'm like, guys, we can't.
Moon Knight shit.
Yeah. we can't do that. You can't say, oh, the Egyptian gods and the Greek gods and the Creole gods all exist, but Big J is still on top, baby.
Just imagine one of them is like, no, we're actually really down with Muhammad in this particular setting. How many protests there would be as a result of that?
Chaos.
You could have your American God's cake and eat it too.
But I think going back to a little bit of criticism, since the stakes are so high, again, I think that's where this series really loses me. I still think it's good, and I certainly think it's more satisfying than season 1 was. Where the stakes are just too high. You know, once you get into the level of we're dealing with gods and fighting God, we haven't even mentioned Mephistopheles, Old Man Coyote, Satan Spectre being like, "Ooh, get ready for season 3." Yeah, out here possessing motherfuckers. And
here
whatnot.
to take some corpses. Don't mind me.
Don't mind me. Gonna take your boyfriend into hell. Let's see what they does that.
It's a surprise tool. We'll save for later.
Since we've escalated into dealing with gods and godhood, it took Castlevania 3 seasons to get that high, and we didn't realize the stakes were that high until it was already over.
4 seasons.
4 seasons, correction. It took Castlevania 4 seasons to get that high, and we didn't realize that dude was death until it was over. Yeah. Here we're out the gate. Messiahs, gods, everybody's magic, everybody's Super Saiyan.
Episode 1, the Vampire Messiah.
Yeah, the host.
Don't I have to level up before I qualify for this?
Nope. It's shonen now, baby.
Oh, God.
I think that's part of my problem with Nocturne is that if we're going into stakes being super high mode immediately, we don't have nearly as much time to get to know people and to get that depth out of them. Like I alluded to the villains earlier, like Drolta, she's trying to bring back Sekhmet and she's grieving loss. What else do we know about her? Think about like Carmela. We saw her like having conversations. We found out the people that she likes, the people that she dislikes. How does she like her wine? Like she wasn't even like for a while the main villain or anything. We have time with them versus we're jumping into final boss, go with this stuff immediately. And it extends beyond the villains. What do we get to learn about Mizrak this season? What do we get to learn about Olrox? Like,
they're gay.
We known.
We knew that.
That's what we get to learn. They're gay.
The issue is that like this season should be season 3 or 4, not season 2. We don't get that depth and that appreciation of characters by jumping to act 3 of the story from the get-go.
I forgot, like, literally until you said earlier that this is 2 weeks, not even.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. This needs to be, like, we need, like, another month or at least 2, maybe.
Oh, God.
Between season 1 and whenever the fuck this all happens. You know?
Richter and Annette are out here like, I love you. And it's like, y'all met last weekend.
They're trauma bonded, okay?
Pretty realistic for teenagers.
Right.
They're those teenagers that are in the line for a roller coaster that are making out, and you're just like, guys, you've moved a little too quick here.
It's the Panera Bread vine. What the fuck? Is this allowed? Stop. Like, it's that.
Again, when you put it in that context, it is weird. The stakes are too high. I think that's that I keep repeating myself. The stakes are too high. I do like the character moments we get. I do like the representation we get. This shit moves fast. Like even I view it the same way as Kaylie does. This is like season 1.5 as opposed to season 2.
It's DLC.
Yeah. Or not even DLC. It's disc 2.
We have the first half on one disc and the second half on the other disc. The shipping was just super delayed. Yeah,
it took Blockbuster a year and a half to find the other disc, and they're like, sorry, we know you rented this, here you go. You know what I mean? Even given the context that, yeah, in fiction, this is very fast. The pacing overall feels right for the stakes, but doesn't feel earned.
Yeah.
In the way that we would prefer based on the other series.
Yes. No, I think that's a really good way. Because I'm like, I don't see this going any other way. But it just suddenly feels like so much so quickly that exactly. I think earned is the key word in this. Because I'm pretty overall satisfied with some of these arcs. I'm glad that like no one major died, but I'm a little surprised we got off without that having occurred this go around. So on the one hand, there's some of it that doesn't feel like as earned and as fulfilled perhaps as Castlevania 1, not even Nocturne 1, but I definitely am like glad with how they've wrapped up this chunk of narrative at least.
Yeah. Like I would have loved to see so much more. I would have loved to see Alucard go on an adventure with the 2 Belmont boys and just be pissed off the entire time.
Exactly. Fun Uncle Alucard.
Yeah. I would love to see Maria and Annette actually interact with each other.
Yes.
Like go on a girls' adventure.
I need more girl bonding.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, you're my boyfriend's sister. We don't talk very often. It's like, no, I would like you two to get to know each other.
Oh, and honestly, a little more to know what's gone on with the fucking night creature revolution. That was something I forgot I wanted to mention. Like, to parallel the French Revolution, we're gonna mobilize the night creatures, Edouard and the lady captain of the French army that's turned into one. And she's turned into a sexy blue night creature. But yeah, I love Edouard as a concept, as like this strange, I don't fit in either place, but I sing beautifully despite everything still. But like, I feel like there was something that just got dropped entirely. And then, you know, they had a mini night creature revolt. And then, hey, come with us to America. I'm sure no one is going to freak out about a hell beast.
What you are.
Right. Like,
I think I missed something. Why did the night creatures turn on themselves?
Well, it was the recognition that they still had some amount of soul, that some of them were coming out more human or remembering that they were human in some capacity versus just being mindless creatures. And so there was this, I could see the parallels of like, if we're doing the French Revolution is the common folk against the aristocracy and the church, then here is the subservient, mindless army revolting against like its leaders, like the vampiric aristocracy, whoever's in charge, whatever.
But then my question is, why didn't they turn on the vampires? Why'd they start killing each other?
Exactly. Like, that's why I'm like, what happened with this? Because then we kind of lost that piece of it during all of the other conflict going on.
Because if the logic
is,
is, well, we're the dead and we want to stay as such, why is sexy military lady and Edouard just cool with surviving at the end? Why aren't they like, take me out too, let me rest?
Right.
You know?
I don't belong in this realm, let me go.
And why does Erzsébet not give a shit when her whole army is fighting against each other?
Because she doesn't, because she's not a character. She's a gun.
I'm gonna start getting mad right when we're at wrap-up time, and right now
and that's I just forgotten that I was like, I did want to mention that because I'm like, I wish, kind of in final thoughts on it, I wish we'd gotten a little more of Edouard. I really liked the potential of where a character like that could have gone. Like, this was a season of, what if we cross this with this, like as you do with a sequel series? We've established these concepts. Let's make some hybrids. Let's do some crosses. What happens if this thing is actually this thing instead? Like, would have loved to see more of what that means for that character. I guess we're getting American vampires next.
American Horror Story, Castlevania.
It'd be the first good season of that in about 8 years or so.
Damn.
And Ryan Murphy has seen the evil AI about the meanest thing anybody has ever said about him.
For me, I was definitely pretty satisfied. Definitely pretty satisfied. Let me speak in real sentences. I was satisfied with this. I think it's very fun. Unfortunately, also think it's kind of like, y'all know that phenomenon when people were going to Taylor Swift concerts and they were like, great, I had a great time, I understood it, I don't remember any of it. I have a lot of that.
The Transformers movie paradox.
Yeah, Transformers movies, Fast and Furious movies. I think those are perfect parallels. I remember enjoying this. I remember being like, yeah, that was cool. A lot of it's a blur. And I think that's for all the reasons we hit on. The stakes were too high. There were a lot of cool looking, but too many effects. And it felt like stuff was so important that none of it mattered.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Gibby.
I'm going to be the downer. I shouldn't, during the finale of a story, say, I don't care about this. I shouldn't feel apathetic about a giant laser battle with cool vampire shit going on. Like, the show has really cool set dressing. I like the way that they blend all the different mythologies, like you mentioned earlier, with Creole and Egyptian and Christian. I think the concepts are cool. The execution is flawed. We don't have the time to really invest in these characters or to let those stakes build up and bubble over. So I ended up feeling pretty apathetic about this. I don't want to be like, you can't like this, because that's an uncool thing to do.
Yeah.
But I did have some nerd anger moments about it. And now it's got me canceled, so that's great.
You know why there's so many stakes, though, right?
Because it's a vampire show?
It's all about vampires!
End the fucking episode.
I'll see myself out.
I'm not doing an outro. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favorite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio Belmont, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at Liberal Artists Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to White Hot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
Gibby, can you play the first 5 notes of the Monster Mash, Editor Gibby? Please and thank you.
I'm glad you clarified Editor Gibby, because
Gibby, can you play?
I can't, unfortunately, but Editor Gibby will be released from his cage and will be allowed to go find that and then get the video copyright struck on YouTube as a result.
Coming out of his cage, and he's been doing just fine.
They